Good afternoon and welcome again to Navigating the Future. I'm glad to introduce you the next topic is changing the geography of life. And in the next 15 minutes we'll talk about how our life can be influenced by external factors that can drive us to change our geography in the next future. But before starting, let's make a step back. Just a few centuries ago, traveling was much more difficult. People were much more distant. Traveling was expensive, risky, and not affordable for everyone. But today we have a completely different view of the world. It's more similar to that. We imagine to take the metro today in Lausanne, arriving to New York. We just buy the tickets. It's much more cheap. So once we were motivated, especially for economic reason, today is not more that. We need something else. As we said before, we need a meaning, we need a lifestyle, we need a balance. So examining our topic of changing the geography of life, we use three lenses: macro, micro, and mezzo. The first refers to the global level, so we look into global trends. Mezzo is referring to the company level. Finally, micro is the point of view of individuals. Along these three lenses, we'll see different trends starting from macro, micro, and mezzo, so urbanization, localized production, lifestyle. Let's start from urbanization. As you know, today urbanization is growing up in developed and developing countries. And we see that there is a clear correlation between the GDP growth and the urban population of cities. This is driven essentially by economy of agglomeration. And we know that from 2008, half of the population in the world lives in city, not anymore in rural area. But the pace and the challenges that developing country are facing is completely different. Let's take one example. This is Shenzhen, China, 1980. It was a rural and poor area of China. Today, Shenzhen is like that. It's completely changed. Investing in controlled urbanization, infrastructure, and today Shenzhen is one of the hubs of excellence in IT. How it was possible? GDP growth and urban density growth. But when these two factors goes not together, this is what happened. The slum trap where many developing countries are now today. Another important trend is the shift of the economic gravity. If we start from 2,000 years ago, from the Middle East we moved to Northwest, and then again now we are pushing back to Southeast of the world. This is essentially driven, we know, by developing countries from emerging markets. But what is, somebody will forget that at the beginning of the previous century, China was already the first GDP country in the world. And now it's starting again to rise, but at a different speed, something never seen before. Just in 12 years, China's doubled its GDP per person. If we see, for example, Britain before, it took 154 years. Let's switch now in the mezzo lens. What all these objects have in common? All of them came from this machine, a 3D print. And probably 3D printing, together with digitalization and miniaturization, probably in the future will change completely our industrialization world. So we'll switch from a large-scale production, so from economy of scale, economy of scope, in a kind of cottage industry 2.0. So it's as we come back in the previous area, before the industrialization. And all these factors, supply chain, logistics, raw material, will be affected by that. Let's see on another aspect of the mezzo area. Probably you know where Apple today employs 4% of its global workforce and records 64% of its revenues. This is Ireland. Why? Ireland, they have three key successful factors: public policies, English language, and geography. Around that, they focus their competitiveness. And today, for example, companies in Ireland, they can enjoy low tax rate, incentives for executive, and tax rebate in R&D. But we were asked how much this model is sustainable, because other countries are looking at that and it's easy copied. Let's talk, for example, in Poland, and how other countries in the European region are responding to that.
So now I would like to talk about the elements that drive people to change geography of life at the micro level. The micro level is more about the choices of individuals. At the beginning of the presentation, we have talked about two main elements that drive those individuals to take choices of where they want to live. First, I would like to talk about the economic opportunities. As mentioned, the pursuit of economic opportunities beyond boundaries has always been part of humanity. The difference now is that this has become easier and as well wider spread. More people are able to do it. With the decrease of mobility barrier, this has created a new form of globally mobile workforce. This workforce is more than ever capable of identifying economic opportunities beyond boundaries. We know now that with this more and more globalizing work environment, it is becoming very difficult for companies to retain and hire people who have the required skills to compete internationally. So this talent constraints limits the opportunity of companies to grow. But this means that the companies must now think of investing more time and money into talent strategy as well as development, which is a good thing for us MBA candidates, but can be a risk for the businesses. With the aging working force, as well as the imminent retirement of the baby boomers, developed countries as well as some developing countries like China are facing serious challenges. The replacement of those baby boomers are the millennials. These people have been traveling from a younger age, and as well they're seeking further work experience abroad at an early stage of the career and doing their career as well. So the thing about these people is that for them, working in an international environment is more valuable than a simple financial reward. So companies are pushed to send these people abroad, but they face dilemma between the cost and as well what these inexperienced young talent can bring to the table. However, some companies are already transforming their global mobile talent programs in order to satisfy the needs. But it is true that it's still a major issue for the companies to have the right talent at the right place at the right moment. So now I would like to talk about the other motivator of people to change geography of life, which is the lifestyle choices. When we're born, we do not have much control over our own environment. However, with time, we gain autonomy. With this autonomy, we start comparing the different lifestyles that life has to offer. From there, we take choices. Some people prefer to change geography of life for a freedom of expression, for a better work-life balance, or for some, it can be to have a better quality of life in terms of climate or simple tranquility. So I would like to ask you one question. Where do you want to enjoy your retirement? For some it's close, for some it's a bit longer. I would like to suggest, why not Algarve, Portugal? Why? At the beginning of the presentation, we talked about public policy, how it can shape the hubs of excellence. So Algarve in Portugal is becoming a hub of excellence for retirement. Why? It's because these foreigners who come into this area are benefiting some tax-free pensions, as well as a lower cost of real estate that can go up to 88% cheaper than some neighborhoods expensive neighborhoods in London. But if you think you're not an EU member and you lost the opportunity, that is not true. Because if you're capable of purchasing a real estate of 500,000 euros, you'll be granted a permanent residency that can be converted over 5 years into a citizenship in Portugal, thanks to this program, which is called the Golden Resident Permit Program, launched in 2012. So, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this. I'm talking about this because I want you to ask yourself some questions. Who are these people going into those locations? Why are they going? I mean, sorry, not rather than why, I mean, who are these people going to those locations? Are they the people, your target customer in your own market? If so, what are you going to do if more of them go to those areas? Are you going to be there? Or are you going to change your strategy in your own market? These are some questions. So, in summary, overall, we have seen that the macro, the mezzo, and micro, each of them have a far-reaching consequence in the environment and in shaping how we live, the world in which we live. So, at the macro level, we have seen that a rapid urbanization, as well as the economical development of the emerging markets, are shifting dramatically the consumption pattern as well as the wealth of the world. At the meso level, we have seen that production facilities, which are based in cheap labor cost countries, are going to face challenges because of the development of those economies. At the same time, with the technological advance, we might have to reintroduce the concept of localized production. But nevertheless, we have to remember about one key element, which is the public policies. The public policies will help or decrease the likelihood of things to happen. At the micro level, we have seen with the rising mobility, which are driven by the economic opportunities as well as lifestyle choices, are already generating some challenges as well as opportunities for the businesses. All long-term and strategic decisions should be taken under consideration of these three elements: macro, mezzo, and micro. I hope throughout this presentation, we more or less managed to give you the idea that each level has a very significant implication and cannot be left alone one another, and that we managed to raise you some questions. So before ending this presentation, I would like to illustrate an example of changing geography of life. That was unfortunately already done by one colleague, but I'll do mine. So I was born in France, and then I went to school at the beginning in the United States, then went to Japan, Germany. I did my university in France, Belgium, and now here I am in Switzerland, doing my MBA in this school, IMD, who gave me great friends as well as a chance to meet exceptional people like you. In the future, I would like to work in Brazil one day. And then why not retire in Algarve, because it sounds very interesting. So, of course, as you have seen previously, I'm a special case maybe, but I think other classmates as well have the similar background. So the question is, are you able to seize the opportunity of this new trend? Are you asking yourself the right questions? Please join us at our workshop and let's have a fruitful discussion. Thank you.